Welcome into NBA Today alongside our senior writer, Zach Lowe, the one and only Chiney Ogwumike. Do we still call you the director of ambiance now that the in-season tournament's over, Rich?
How'd the in-season tournament go?
Outstanding.
It's a permanent title.
Oh dear. Okay.
Well, it was always for ESPN NBA, not just the in-season tournament.
Then the director of ambiance still here with us. Do with that what
not
you
as good
will.
as a suit, though.
No, but I'm still the best. I'm best looking and best dressed man
I would
at
not be
ESPN.
doing my job if I wouldn't ask for one more button, even though I know you will ignore me. Let's get to Zion Williamson, because there were plenty of takes that were flying around following the Pelicans getting embarrassed by the Lakers in Las Vegas. So all eyes were on how Zion would respond, how he would bounce back against the league's best defense. Remember, no Anthony Edwards in this one. Trey Murphy with the miss. Zion Williamson cleaning up down low, Zach.
Yeah, offensive rebounding is very good at that.
Zion again, pretty good on defense.
Look at that.
Too. Gets the block. Jose Alvarado then gets out in transition. Let's take another look at that one. Nice, Chiney.
Yeah, absolutely, but I love this move right here. He uses his momentum to his advantage against taller defenders, and I think we heard LeBron James sort of talk about AD, how he could do that too in the in-season tournament.
Speaking of taller defenders, that's Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns that he's maneuvering around right there. Zion spin cycle, elevates, a little up and under, gets that one to go. So the Pelicans starting to create some separation here in the third quarter. Zion, though, didn't slow down, attacking Rudy Gobert once again, high off the glass. Gets that one to go as well. One more time, watch Zion. You might be sensing a little bit of a theme here.
No, it was impressive. And make no mistake, this is against one of the best defensive teams with a ton of bigs.
Not one of the best defensive teams.
One of the best defensive teams.
Wow.
With Naz Reid, Rudy
Zion.
Gobert. It's impressive.
14 points in the third quarter. He had a season-high 36, 13 of 17 shooting. Here he was after the game on responding and tuning out the outside noise.
If it comes from a great place and a place where they just want to see me do better, thank you. But if it comes from anywhere else, everybody entitled to their own opinion. Can't control that. At the end of the day, I can't control what no grown man do. Can't control what no grown adult does. All I can do is control the things I can control, lock in on myself, lock in on my teammates, coaches, and everybody with the Pelicans, the city, and try to win.
So Zion bounced back from a pair of rough performances in the in-season tournament knockout rounds, season-high 36 points, also made 10 of 12 free throws after making just one the previous two games. So, Rich, Zion said he's more than willing to take that criticism as long as he feels like it's coming from a good place. What did you make about his ability to bounce back?
First of all, I loved his ability to bounce back, because if we're talking about high-intensity moments, we're talking about playoff-type situations. That was a playoff-type situation in the knockout rounds. Then you follow that up with the best team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, one of the best defensive teams.
Even without Ant.
So it's like, no, but still, those bad boys are defensively, they're very, very solid, and they have a ton of bigs. And what he did, he bounced back. He bounced back in an extreme fashion. Look at 13 for 17, 10 for 12 from the free throw line. And so from that standpoint, yes. The one thing that I will say, the outside noise, yes, there are some people that were probably a little bit more aggressive with him, and there were some people that were just critical. But the one thing I will say about the outside noise is those noises are coming from inside of your house, Zion. Like, the call is coming from inside of the house.
Right.
There are people within the organization. There are people within the association.
He said
that
his
are
teammates.
Your teammates even. So those calls are not outside noise. The outside noise means that it's outside of our group, outside of our organization, outside of our team. Outside noise, those boys are in there saying these things. It's not just the league. It's not just the pundits. It's not just the analysts. It's everyone saying what he needs to do. So I want to make sure he's focused on that, not just the high-level criticism.
Because obviously there is an echo chamber. We talked about it Friday on NBA Today, where it's like, okay, well, this isn't what we expect from Zion Williamson, but this comes from a place of wanting to see this level that we know we can see, and he shows flashes of it in that game against the Pelicans. But it's his teammates that he said were saying that he maybe wasn't putting in the effort that they expected him to.
Well, in other words, we know this as basketball players. Some people can wake up and just hoop, and some people can't. You have to figure out where you fall on that spectrum. And I was someone who the first few years of my career, I could wake up and hoop, but then I got injured, and then I had to realize I had to do so much more. Richard, you talk about yoga. We both are yoga fans. Yeah. You adopted that in your career. Zion, he has so many gifts, and I think that now he's realizing that, hey, even though I'm young, I have to approach the game not the same way that other young guys in the league do. I have to work different. I have to work twice as hard to bring this out. But what I will also say is, man, I love the response. Because a year ago, Zion would have stayed in his bubble. He would have just probably, coasted through a game and sort of try to stay comfortable. It takes a vulnerability to be uncomfortable to produce a performance like this. Season high 36 after the world is criticizing you. This is the best way to make a statement, to clap back through your performance. And it seems like the best thing about Zion right now is he's taking a mature step to acknowledging the reality of, like, look, if I'm not going to be where I'm at, I need to at least perform at a high level to show that I'm willing to at least take a step towards that direction.
Like you guys said, this is a #1 defensive team in the league with a bunch of giant guys tailor-made to at least have a chance to guard Zion, and he rolled right through him. To me, this response does mean something, and it's a good sign. But here's the thing. This has got not 36 points, but this has got to be every night, this level of intensity and aggression. That's what being a franchise player means. That's what being the franchise player for a team that needs all these wins to get into the playoffs, if not the play-in. That's what it means. And look, the games in Vegas were a disaster. There's no sugarcoating it. He looked completely overwhelmed by the moment. He didn't bring it at all. We know the dude is going to score. When, like, over the course of a season, he's going to score. He's not quite, doesn't look quite the same athletically to me as he did 2 years ago. Maybe he'll get back there after all the injuries. The scoring is fine. I want to see the other stuff. Like, can we get a defensive rebound every once in a while? You're the starting power forward on the team, and you have the defensive rebounding rate of a guard, as demonstrated right there. These are dudes who have the same defensive rebounding rate as Zion Williamson, who is a tank. And then, that's linked to, like, if you watch him on defense, he can make the first effort, the first rotation, the first hedge out, whatever. The second and third effort just isn't there. He's just out of the play. And that's the kind of stuff, like, when you want to win serious basketball games against serious teams and you want your teammates to do the things that win serious basketball games against serious teams, you need to do that stuff. So the scoring is great. I want to see the other stuff.
And you know who has started to do that and it's worked for his team? He didn't play yesterday, Anthony Edwards. He's been committed to those second, third possessions, and that's why his team is doing better.
Well, and look, we're going to take it away from basketball for a second. Tiger Woods. When Tiger Woods showed up and he was so physically dominant over the entire field, what happened? The next generation of golfers all came in and they started taking care of their body. They became much more physically, they had a much more physical presence, right? That's what Tiger Woods did to the game. He changed it. LeBron James has showed us if you are physically elite, you can play for a very, very long time at a high level. If you are not, you will not. And my biggest thing about Zion here is everything that you're talking about, defensive rebounding, some of those things, that's conditioning. You're not talking about the first step and second step. That's conditioning. And look, the old NBA, you could play 36 minutes a night, and there was 4 games, and then we were also practicing. So you could get that, you could get your conditioning, you can get your weight, whatever it is. But when you're in a space where you're not practicing as much, your games are spread out a little bit more, and you're playing these amount of minutes, it's not going to happen. So if he doesn't improve his conditioning, and we know what that means, then we know what we're going to get from Zion. This is who he is. It's going to be up, it's going to be down. He's going to have games where he's good, he's going to have games where he's bad, because you don't have the conditioning to be sustained and to have a sustained level of greatness.
But we're 22 games into the season. And here's the thing, we're still imagining, because Bradley Beal, he's back tonight, but Kevin Durant, he's been officially ruled out with a sprained ankle against the Golden State Warriors. So with that, we say hello to our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojranowski. Woj, the Suns, they face the Warriors today, then they face the Brooklyn Nets tomorrow. So how are the Suns approaching this back-to-back for Bradley Beal and his return?
Malika, the idea of playing a back-to-back, after having been out 3+ weeks and having been in and out of lineup prior to that, is something of a risky proposition. The Suns, not only do they want Bradley Beal back in the lineup, but they want him to stay in the lineup. So they'll evaluate him after tonight's game with Golden State and see what it might look like tomorrow against the Nets. But they're going to be cautious. And so there's uncertainty about whether he makes his debut and plays back-to-back nights. But he is back tonight. And certainly the organization, Bradley Beal, they've been anxious for that. They believe they've got him past these back issues, and now he can be a regular part of this lineup.
So Bradley Beal back tonight, but no KD. With all of that as the backdrop, when might we see the Big Three in Phoenix make their debut?
We're close. They're close, Malika, as close as really they've been all season. Durant, I'm told, is still day-to-day with that ankle, but that he's not far off. And so that could mean the Nets on Wednesday night, or possibly even the Knicks on Friday night on ESPN. And perhaps certainly one of those 2 games, assuming Durant is back and Beal's back in the lineup, Perhaps that's not till Friday, but this is an organization anxious to see these three players, Devin Booker, Beal, Kevin Durant, playing together. They are close, and I'm told Kevin Durant is close to a return from that sprained ankle he suffered against the Lakers last week in L.A.
Close. That is music to Phoenix Suns fans' ears. Adrian Wojranowski, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us here on NBA Today.
I'm on fire. It's NBA,